Hello, good evening and welcome. Welcome to Rangersradio. Join myself, Oxford, on the show this evening is Linda and Jaffa. How are we doing?
Evening, Oxford. Evening, Jaffa. Evening, everyone. I hope you're all keeping well.
Evening, Ox. Evening, Linda. Thanks for having us on the show tonight, Ox.
No, you're showing me. You're welcome anytime, mate. You're welcome anytime. As long as you keep the pictures away from the media, mate. How are you, Linda?
I'm very well, Ox. Very well indeed. I enjoyed the game last night. Not so much the one at the weekend, but I'm sure we'll get into that. But yes, very happy to be on.
We forgot about the one at the weekend. We forgot about that.
Right, okay. We'll put that in a box.
Right, Jaffer, I've got to say, I said it last night. I was disappointed. I thought the first 30 seconds we started very slow.
I know, it was supersonic, wasn't it? Right for the first whistle. They were brilliant, Ox. Absolutely wonderful performance. Like Linda, still revelling in last night's, still taking it in, doing a lot of thinking about it, and I thought we were outstanding to a man.
Don't mention revel. She'll go and get more sweeties out the fridge. Right, a few questions for you, yeah? Well, that's basically the same players that's played a lot of your games for us this season. Help me out here. Why did we look like such a good football team last night? Simple question, but difficult to answer. Ladies first.
It is a good question, and a lot of discussion today around that. I think, Ox, with all the Rangers fans, one of the things that's starting to stand out for me is the level of fitness. And I think he was talking about how in the midfield we're starting to get some legs back, players getting up and down the park. And I think they're just benefiting, Ox, from having a more of a kind of settled team, as in people that are available to play in the right positions as well. We've got a couple of players that have really kind of started to up their game. Some of them should have still been doing it under Gio. I totally understand that, Ox. But as I said, there's a couple of things that stand out, and I think the level of fitness has definitely improved. And we looked last night like a team that could go on and play another, 30 minutes extra time easily, if need be, for example, in a cup game. And that was one of the compliments we played them last year, was the level of fitness. So that's a real sort of standout for me.
Jaffer, I'm going to keep the question simple. Why?
Different manager.
As simple as that for you?
Simple as that. Different manager, and along the same lines as what Linda said, their fitness, tactics, the front three last night, the rotation of them, Ox, was brilliant. I mean, that Hearts defence didn't know, they didn't know where they were coming or going. They didn't know who to mark. I mean, Hearts primarily played into Rangers' hands last night with the formation as well. That helped the game, but the tactics alone last night were brilliant.
Quite simple tactics. Close your opponent down, get the ball and pass it to somebody with the same colour shirt. It's not difficult, Linda. No,
and pass the ball forward.
Ooh, good point.
Not sideways, not back constantly. Players playing with their head up, aggression, but controlled aggression. Just all the things that we've been wanting to see from this team. But you've got to also think we've got to remember as well that last year, despite the European run, there was quite a lot of domestic performances, Ox, that we just weren't happy with, weren't we not? And the European run kind of camouflaged a lot, I think. But you're right, it's things that you would just expect them to be doing, as a matter of course. Whether or not it is primarily down to the change of manager, as Jaffa says, at the end of the day, it's worked so far. So, we can only be happy, I think.
And the money was saving, because obviously Ben Davis, he just puts his strip away and wears it again because it doesn't get any sweat on it, Jaffa.
He was outstanding. Honestly, Ox, I don't think there was less than an 8 out of 10 last night, and I'm probably being moderately harsh. I mean, the amount of players in that team last night that hit a 10 out of 10 was ridiculous. Just the distance between that sitting two, which is essentially it was a 4 last night because Barisic and Tavernier were alongside Kamara and Lundstrom, and then the fluidity of the 3 up front. Sakala was down as the striker, and he was all over the front line. So was Kent, so was Tillman, left, right. The thing that for last night for me was the most important thing I took out of the game last night, Ox, was when we were on the attack, it was the support from the middle part of the team. They were hovering all round about, ready to pick up the second ball or waiting on the ball coming back, getting to the byline and then cutting it back. We created absolute havoc. As I said, that Hearts team, genuinely, they that 3-0 result flattered them last night. It should have been 6. It should have been 6-0.
Well, I read a tweet for you and Cameron the day, who's usually fair and complimentary to us, but he is a Hearts fan. He says they were lucky it wasn't double figures one, and he's right.
Yeah, I saw that tweet from him. He was complimentary and said that, we were very impressive. And, thinking into that game, Ox, that there was a lot of people thought that Rangers would have dropped points. Hearts were on a 10-game unbeaten run. They've been playing quite well. They've got some good players. So, I wasn't expecting that level of performance from Rangers. I don't think anybody was. I thought it would be a tight game. But that was purely just on the back of how we've been playing, Ox. The difference, and I know it was away from home and it was a wee bit more open in terms of, I think they maybe tried to have a bit of a go, but we just picked them off. But the difference between Saturday and last night was like night and day. So I think we were all taken a bit by surprise, Ox. But let's hope that's something to look forward to now in the future.
Aye, good shoot, Linda. It's benchmarks, Jaffa. That's your benchmark performance, eh?
Yeah, 100%, Ox, and that's what standards, as Michael Beale refers to it, is better than the standard, better than the standard in training. And I think Linda's 100% right on the fitness levels. That's what his 11th week now. He's been in position, or thereabouts, roughly. So small increments increasing fitness levels, and fitness levels, is a prerequisite at a club of ours. You've got to always, you're fit, I heard
what you talking about, Jaffa? It'll be 10% fitter, and is that the 10% that's making all the difference?
Yeah, I would say that's about right. Yeah, I would say that's probably about right. And it might not, to the naked eye, you might go, yeah, well, Glenn Kamara looks like a different player all of a sudden. And I think also the tactics, Ox, I think the tactics are massive in the way that he's setting the team up. I really do. I think he's getting the best. He's talking to players clearly, playing players in positions that they want to play in. You hear a few of the players saying that. And a couple of telltale signs last night for me were Ellis with his 2 goals. Every single one of the players were all round about him, rubbing his hair and grabbing his shoulders and smiling at him, and Tavernier was chatting away to him. I thought it was brilliant last night. I thought Alfie was outstanding last night. I know we've all given him on here when he's not put the, we've not felt he's not been putting the effort in. Last night for his second goal in particular, if you see him getting onto the end of that ball and from the edge of the 18-yard box and getting it, and he should have got to it, and he did get to it. Easily he got to it and he put the ball in the net. Great goal. Brilliant goal. The ball for Sakala was outstanding.
Aye. So was the pass for goals. Still my Alfie highlight was when we went half Linda because he couldn't get his lip. Did you see his lip?
Yeah. I think Beale said that's the second time he's taken him off and he was on 2 goals and he's not speaking to him. Alfie's not speaking to him. So, because remember that happened with Gerrard before.
Oh, that was funny. Gerrard and Defoe on it.
Yeah, but Alfie's looking sharper, but it's just a run of games for him, Ox. When he's been injured, I know he didn't look after himself very well, and it's taken him time to come back into the team and hit a bit of form. But I don't think he's the sort of guy that comes back from an injury and just hits the ground running, Ox. He always kind of needs a run of games. But generally, I think he's looking much fitter. And good on him for celebrating that goal when it was awarded. I know it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, and it's really quite nice when he annoys people, because that means he's getting back to some sort of form, doesn't it?
Aye, I mean, his build very similar to Todd Cantwell, Alfie, isn't he, Jaffa, you know?
I tell you what, Ox, there and on. I mean, I don't know how long Todd Cantwell was on the park. What was he on for, about 15, 18 minutes or something like that? I'll tell you, he looks a player, doesn't he? I love the way he was drawing the Heart. He was actually encouraging the Hearts players, get to his fellow Rangers player, give me the ball, and he was drawing 2 and 3 Hearts players over towards him, because he knows he's got the ability to get away with him. You know, I think his first touch was he actually nutmegged himself. He let the ball run through his own legs, and the two Hearts players didn't know where he had gone to. He looks a real player. I can't wait till he's right on song, and obviously we've got Raskin as well to come into the fray. So things are starting to look decent, aren't they? As far as on the actual availability and the kind of strength we've got in the bench coming on as well.
I think I wouldn't know where to start with last night in praise of the team, because obviously we criticise or we critique Linda, yeah?
Yeah.
And everybody says the game different. I thought Bonner, the first half, had a great first half. Tav was arguably the quietest player, but that wasn't for the fact that he wasn't making runs. He was working away up and down there all night. The team was constantly going forward. The two centre backs, as I said, Big Ben Davis just put his. I just think he put his kit in the hamper and put his suit right on. Never even bothered with a shower. You know. And the midfield, Lundstrom going forward, he nearly scored a fantastic goal. I think it was Alfie that played the 1-2 way. He was winning the ball. He was John Lundstrom in the semi-final at Hampden. John Lundstrom against them at Ibrox. John Lundstrom against Leipzig, you know, and we know it's there, and that's maybe the frustrating thing. Glenn Kamara, sensational last night. Ryan Kent, his brain, his movement. Sakala, some of his touches were sublime. I thought he actually missed a sitter in the first half, but when I seen it back, what a save it was for their goalkeeper. You know, he would have got a goal for that, maybe 6 out of 10, because it was a fantastic save. Their goalie, he was waiting to get your captain strip. I don't know if you've seen that. And then Morelos and Tillman in the first half, Linda. Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of these players that you've mentioned there, that the front four, Sakala, Tillman, Kent and Morelos, we've seen glimpses of some improved form since Michael Beale's come in. I know we want more goals because they still miss a lot of chances, and he's alluded to that. But the two midfielders in Lundstrom and Kamara, where did that Lundstrom performance come from last night, Ox? As you rightly said there, you rhymed off maybe 3 or 4 games, but other than that, he's actually been quite poor. I thought when he came on Saturday, he slowed the game down, and we never even looked at scoring another goal, and I didn't think he played well at all. But it was, as I said earlier, it was like night and day. It was like, just as if he was like a new player. The way he came on his game last night. And Kamara, that's the player that we know he can be. I just like it when he goes forward with the ball, Ox, because sometimes Glenn Kamara slows everything down, but he's starting to look like a real player again. And the boy Tillman, I know that they're talking about we should get that deal done now, but I think they might just wait until see how the next couple of months goes. But what a player he is, and he's still only 20. It's really, really a great talent.
Jaffa, John Lundstrom, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. What he looked like is maybe somebody who had a bit more fitness about him, because the way he moved just looked different from he's moved for months.
I mean, he's just the attacking. He was going and attacking the ball, Ox, and he was choosing his moments. His timing was immaculate last night. I totally agree with you. He looked so much fitter. Whether he's maybe managed to get on the back end if he's been carrying an injury, which I believe he was, and taking some painkilling injections. I know he's not played as much in recent weeks, and that hopefully seems to have helped him. You know, John Lundstrom, let's not be kidding, we've seen these performances before, Ox. You rhymed a few of them off there. It's just ensuring that we can get that kind of level of consistency. And maybe we've been a bit unfair on some of the players because of the amount of injuries that we've been carrying, that we've been playing the same team, you know, even coming near the end before Gio moved on, you know, before we got rid of him. We were calling in the same 15, 16 players, weren't we? And a lot of them were academy players that were filling the bench. So, you know, injuries do take their toll. Let's not be kidded. They put a strain on the team. And I think the performance last night for John Lundstrom's got to be, as you said earlier, Ox, that's the benchmark, isn't it?
I think all the players will be judging that last night. But what I will say, Linda, being fair, Hearts trying to play football. Hearts' surface was fine. Both these things helped us, if we're being honest. Yeah. Because
it's a different game when these teams sit in. You know, there's no space. And, you know, again, when you look at the home games and you look at the away games, you know, he's got options now, Ox, that he can mix it up a wee bit. So if we're playing away from home, it might be somebody like Fashion Sakala that will play on that right-hand side or whatever, because they were doing a lot of interchanging, weren't they? But maybe at Ibrox, you'll need a Hadji or maybe a Cantwell to create something, because they can be like, you know, 8, 9, 10 players behind the ball for the opposition. But it's really great that he's got options now. As Jaffa said, like earlier on in the season, even under Gio, all these injuries, people were being playing out of positions. We didn't even have a fit centre half. So it does make a big difference. But Michael Beale...
Talking about fit centre halves, I don't think the boy even hit his hand, if I'm being honest with you. Or that Ferrari. What about the run for Olsen? What a goal that would have been.
Yeah, definitely, Ox. That would have been one of the goals of the season. And he's been involved in quite a lot as well. He obviously got the assist for when he headed the ball back over for Tillman. And there was another one he had. He had a header where Xander Clark put it over the bar. He'd probably be a wee bit disappointed he didn't score with that one, Ox. But Connor's hitting some really good for him as well, isn't he?
Aye, a steady partnership. The back four's been consistent, Jaffa, since Michael came in, really, if I've been honest.
And then it's no coincidence, Ox, we start picking up clean sheets, is it? You know, when you do get a settled back four, and as you said earlier there, Barisic was outstanding. You know, these guys then start to have the confidence for pushing forward. But that's part of the tactics, Ox. You know, that was what we became to recognise as a Steven Gerrard team. Where I heard a few people talking last night. I think I even maybe heard on Rangers TV talking about that it looked like a kind of performance that you would have saw away from home in a European game. That performance last night, because we were playing teams like that when we played against. I'm trying to think, when we played against Standard Liège, in fact, a few years ago. That was the type of performance we put in that night. We were just all out attack, absolutely pushed back the opposition, smothered them, suffocated the life out of them so that they couldn't move. As I said last night, for me, that Hearts defence, they did not know what had hit them. They had not a clue. They didn't know who to mark, who to pick up. And I know that was down to partly their tactics, because they played three at the back, and I know they had Snodgrass sitting in front of them. But at the end of the day, normally you pick up a man. They couldn't live with Rangers last night. It was a sublime performance all round by Glasgow Rangers last night. It was brilliant.
Yeah, when new signing in the stand, I think he's asked for a transfer, Linda, as I said last night. He says, how am I going to get in that team if they play like that?
He'll be chapping Beale's door this morning saying, do you want to cancel that work permit? Because I'm going back home. But, you know, that might just be a wee incentive as well. You know, we've made a couple of signings. I know it was just the two. A lot of fans thought we needed more. But at the end of the day, we got 2 quality players in. Competition's everything, Ox, isn't it? Maybe a few of the midfielders are looking and thinking, I might not get a game now. So it is all about the competition. It's the same with Alfie as well. Cholak's fit now. You know, he'll be wanting to get back into the team too. So it all augurs well for the remainder of the season anyway. Competition makes people play better. There's no doubt about it.
I would take umbrage with one thing you said there, Linda, just one, and it's
What's
a
that?
small matter. Cholak might be fit, but he's no match fit.
No, but he's maybe no challenging for a starting place yet.
But he'll get there, yeah.
Aye, I'm not so sure that he'll leave Alfie out, to be honest with you, Ox. I think Cholak's got a hard job ahead of him. Maybe in terms of managing Alfie's time as well, because you don't want to run him into the ground, because we have done that in the past. But no, he's nowhere near match fit. Absolutely not.
I think he will start against Partick Thistle. There's my prediction.
Aye, that's a good shout.
Yeah, no, it might get some more minutes in the weekend and then another week of fitness and then ready to roll. That makes sense, Jaffa?
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout, Ox. I think that's probably how the management team will be looking upon it. Obviously, we do need to get him a start somewhere along the line, and that game would be ideal for him. And to be perfectly honest, it's at Ibrox, so be a big crowd there. So no doubt you'll already probably been told that, Ox, that's what he's working towards. But I agree with Linda. There's no way you're moving Morelos. And now that first goal last night was, I don't know if a lot of you picked up on it when the ball came into the box. That nudge on the defender was brilliant. He just bounced him off him and basically said, "I'm having that space because I'm going to put the ball in the net." It was a brilliant goal. Great movement again. And I have to say, touching on what Linda said there, that second goal right off the training ground, Ox. I loved that last night.
Aye, that was excellent play. Right, I tell you what we're going to do, if it's all right we used to. We're going to hear the first half from Michael Beale, as soon as that's finished, we'll get the phone lines open.
Brilliant.
So
Sounds great.
Let's hear from your gaffer, Michael Beale.
Michael, that'd be a pleasing one to look back and analyse last night.
Yeah, look, the game with Ross County comes very thick and fast, so we'll just focus on that now. But it was pleasing. It's probably been coming, to be honest, in terms of the performance at different moments of the games. We've played well in every one. I thought that was the most complete performance so far. At a really difficult away ground. I've had some bad days there, being involved with Rangers, so I was delighted. I thought it was going to be a tricky game, but we played ever so well, I thought.
Is that the type of performance you can sort of point to and say to the players, you've set the bar now, that's what you want to see going forward?
Yeah, listen, each game's different and we have different problems to solve. At home to St Johnstone, it was more a possession-based game and you're beating a team that's maybe putting quite a few behind the ball. Yesterday, Hearts tried to go for us and we actually, most of our good play come off of our pressing and regaining, so it was completely different. To say that we can use that performance every game, it's not true, because in another game, maybe teams will sit off us and maybe not try to be as expansive. I thought Hearts' style and our style sort of clashed, and we obviously were stronger on the night.
How pleasing is it as a manager to have the options you now have available to you and be able to turn to the bench and have a lot of strength on there as well, when you haven't had that in previous weeks?
Yes, listen, I'm delighted. I'm really happy with the two boys that we brought into the club, but also just the return of players from injury and a little bit of sort of familiarity with the style. You're seeing it come out more and more in every game. It's what I sort of predicted would happen, that if we got players fit, all of a sudden we would look stronger because competition would go up, and it's pleasing. But we've got another game on Saturday and I just want to focus on that now.
You're still waiting on clearance for Nicholas to potentially be available for this weekend?
Yeah, hopefully that'll come through. I know they've got a backlog. So hopefully a few nagging emails and they'll push that to the front, because obviously after a transfer window there's quite a few players coming in, but he's an exciting one to have. We've got him forever, not just Saturday, so I know that people will be desperate to watch him, but a little bit like Todd, we've got to respect that we've already got a good team and they've got to come in and earn their way to play in it as well, and that's what should happen.
In terms of the competitiveness in the squad, that's obviously great to have, but if that gets a bit overcooked, then you can have a few problems with team spirit. Are you finding that the use of substitutions and the increased number, has that been a help to you?
I do like the 5 subs. It now gives you as a coach lots of options. Certainly if you're on the bench, you feel like you're closer to getting on, if you like, because the amount you can make. You can also make a bit of a pig's ear of it as well if you're not careful. You can sort of mess a game up. But no, I like it. I think players over the next few years in all clubs are going to be used to maybe playing 70 minutes and coming out, which they don't like. The 3 that I bought off last night weren't exactly over the moon about coming off, but I think it's important that you feed the squad and you show the competitions there. I think competition in training every day, it raises the training level, the level of the games that we have in our 10v10s or whatever we do in training goes up, and ultimately that pushes the performance levels. And that's what I remember us building towards when I was here previously, and it's what I've tried to do soon as coming back in, to add competition.
In terms of Todd Cantwell coming on last night, used him at the weekend in a kind of very free-flowing role, but when we've talked to him, he says he can play here, can play there. Have you decided in your mind how to use him, or is it just a part of he's now part of the squad and it will be game by game? And also, if I could ask them, did you have much chance to talk to Raskin about because Tynecastle is traditionally quite a cauldron of a support?
Raskin was at the game last night watching, so that was a nice introduction for him to see. I thought it was good that Todd came out. I did something similar with Malik a couple of weeks ago at Kilmarnock. I think some games in Scotland, I think, when you're new to it or you're younger, I think the game will open up as it goes on. I thought Todd come on last night, he looked excellent, but I definitely thought it was the right team that we picked to start. I wanted to play with a lot of speed in the final third. I wanted Ryan Kent to do a very specific job defensively, and I thought it was outstanding. That goes amiss with Ryan. When people talk about goals and assists, they don't see how important he is to the structure of the team. And I thought he was particularly strong last night in the way that he got around the holding midfielder of Hearts. And so with Todd is very similar to Ryan, very similar to Yanis, very similar to Malik, that he's got a lot of hybrid qualities and can play in different areas. We like that type of player. When we're defending, we want to defend always in formation. When we're attacking, we want to let people go and be a little bit free. And I think that will hopefully make Todd enjoy his football, because I think he's already clearly a very good player. It's just obviously trying to integrate him into our team. And I think it's important as well that players realise we've got different types of players. I thought Fashion Sakala was very important to the game last night. And that's different to when you're playing at home and maybe you need a Todd to open a door. Away from home, there's a bit more space. You maybe need someone like Fashion. It's important we've got all types in the building.
Yeah. Michael, I know it's not too long since last night, but is there an update on the squad for Saturday's game? Everybody okay?
Yeah, Yanis will be back training today, so we just gave him a couple of days after the weekend because he had quite a few heavy days into it. And then he played at the weekend. It was important to give him a couple of down days. He was never going to be involved in last night's squad, so he'll train for a couple of days now, we'll see. Kamaru's back outside with the team, albeit unopposed, but that's really good sign. So if he has a couple of days now unopposed, you might look at him for the weekend if we had to. If not, we'll just push for next week. But that's really, really pleasing news. John's just in individual train at the moment. He's going great guns, and just had a little bit of a reaction last week. He was very close to being in the squad, and then you're just thinking, well, look, he's not had a lot of fitness there, and sometimes you just think, well, there's no need to push at the moment. I think our squad's quite strong. We've got good cover, and I don't want to be rushing anyone unless I needed to. I think it was different when I brought Goldson and Ben Davis back in the team. I rushed those two, to be honest, because we needed them.
See, in terms of individual players, how satisfying is it for you to see them kind of flourish under what you're trying to do? You seem to have rejuvenated quite a few players. I thought Glenn Kamara looked like Glenn Kamara role last night. I thought he was exceptional. So how do you keep that standard now that they've kind of hit?
I think competition's important. Individual sort of goals and aims they got is important. What drives someone. I think I tried to give them a lot of clarity, and I never ask them to do anything that I don't think they can do. So when I ask them to go and play, I ask Glenn to be himself. Todd's come into the club, I've asked Todd to be himself, and he's at his best when he's able to be a little bit free and go and pick up certain areas. I don't know if there's been an upkick in individual performances. I think they've just had a lot of clarity, and I think collectively as a team, when Rangers have done well and beat teams they've beat in Europe and done well domestically, it's not been the individuals, it's been the group and the group all pulling in the right direction. I thought last night was a good team performance, hence why it's so difficult to pick one standout player last night.
That's now 3 clean sheets in a row, and the back four's settled. I think maybe that's 8 games in a row possibly that they've played for the first time. I don't know how many months. Is that maybe part of your thinking as well with someone like John Souttar? You've got a really solid base in there just now, they're all getting to grips with each other and they're starting to really show what they can do.
Yeah, I think Connor and Ben have got to build a partnership, and it's all right doing it on the training pitch, but it's generally built in playing games together and having some tough moments and good moments. So I didn't really want to mess around with that. Borna's come back from the World Cup. I thought some of his crossing last night was outstanding, but that was Tav's strongest defensive performance in a while also. So it just shows you the relationships on the pitch are really important. Any team that's successful in any league, probably 6 or 7 of the outfield players play over 90% of the games. I think if you look at teams that do well and win things and go on runs, that's the case. And earlier in the season, both the previous manager and myself have not had that. And I think that gives the team a strong foundation. And then you can try things from a confidence place. I think when a team's doing well, it's easy to make 2 or 3 changes or change tactics slightly. When you're not doing so well, that seems so difficult. So I think we're in a place now where it's pleasing. I still think we've got a long way to go, if I'm honest.
He's definitely grown in it. It's grown on me, Michael Beale, if I'm being honest, Jaffa. He's gone from strength to strength the way he's handling the media, and through that we're getting honesty here.
Absolutely, Ox. He gives so much of an insight with the language that he uses, doesn't he? And the kind of things that he says, not even part of the questions that he's asked often. And what he's expecting of the team, the clarity he gives the players, and you heard Raskin talking about that earlier on in the week when he signed, about a manager's never spoke to him the way he spoke to him and told him exactly what he wanted him to do. And I think when you're a footballer, I heard you talking about that yourself, Ox, and keeping it simple. I know it's an easy thing to say, but in a dressing room with footballers, I don't think there's anything that's more effective than just keeping it simple and telling them what to do.
Yeah, I think so. And when Beale came in, he wasn't obviously the same sort of a big name like Gerrard and also Gio as well. They two of them had great playing careers. We know Michael Beale is more renowned as being a coach, but he has got a lot of experience. And yeah, I'm like you, Ox. I just, as I said, he seems to be getting stronger and better as the days and weeks go on in terms of just his outlook, how we understand what he's trying to achieve, and the clarity as well. And I know, as Jaffa says, he gives you a lot of information, but I mean it just gives you hope, Ox, for the future, doesn't it? That we can, get back to really challenging for the league. I know we've still got, trophies to aim for this year. But at the beginning of this season, we didn't have a lot of hope. We just couldn't see any way out of this. But I do actually, as I said, as the days and weeks have gone on, I think he's become more and more impressive, Ox. He certainly has.
Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from
you. Okay, there was a mixed message there with the injuries. Didn't look as if any injuries last night. Kemar Roofe building up his fitness. John Souttar's the wee setbacks, which I don't suppose is surprising when you're coming back from a long injury, but he's getting there. He's no mention Tom Lawrence as such yet, but Hadji, I think he'll be definitely on the bench at the weekend. Wow, he's going to have some juggling act in the front six. Jaffa?
I mean, that is the area, Ox. You're right. When you look at what was on display last night, and the performances of some of those players that are currently holding the jersey, with Tillman, Sakala. I mean, Sakala last night was outstanding. But the guys that are sitting, as you've rhymed off there, Ox, Hadji, Tom Lawrence, Kemar Roof. What an addition to the bench. Todd Cantwell, Raskin. My word, it is starting to look really, really, really strong, and the competition for places has just been ramped up. And I loved what he said at the end there as well, Ox, when he said he still thinks we're miles away. I love that. I would love to hear where he thinks he's going to get us to, because if he thinks we're miles away and we've still got so much to put into it, I love hearing that. That's brilliant attitude.
Linda?
Yeah, I think he'll always try and keep everybody's sort of feet firmly on the ground. He knows what we've kind of been through as a support as well. We've had to watch some really terrible performances, Ox. I know the European run was great last year, but this year, the team just haven't been at it, and it's not been a great experience watching the team. Obviously that was a good away performance last night, but he'll know that the performances at home, he'll still be wanting that level to be higher as well, so that we can leave the stadium, we can be happy, But I just think, when we've got all these players fit, it's going to be even difficult to get a place on the bench, and there'll be people sitting in the stand that won't be happy. But that's great for us, because we know that the players that have got the shirt are the ones that are coming off the bench. They're going to have to play well to keep their place, Ox, and that's what it's all about.
And maybe his fans, Jaffa. I mean, all the points were dropped. I'm not excusing it. We didn't maybe comprehend how much the injuries it has, but we should have still had enough to take points off of some of the teams we dropped against, But that's gone now. It's all about looking forward, and things are moving, Jeff.
Absolutely, Ox. It's difficult not to cast an eye backwards over your shoulder and go, damn it, those last couple of games. Gio's tenure, with the St Mirren and the St Johnstone result in particular. But as you say, there's no point. We can't dwell on it. We have to. We've got 14 games left of the season, so we've got that lot to play twice. So you just never know, Ox. I'm for one. I'm giving nothing until it's mathematically impossible. Walter Smith used to say that. So I've stuck by that. I've been brought up in that. That was my cornflakes in the morning, Walter Smith's words. So give nothing away until it's absolutely, out of our hands. And at this stage, it's not out of our hands. We've got a big part to play in it. We turn them over twice, anything can happen.
Yeah. Come on, give us a phone. 0141 356 1972. What were your thoughts on last night? Are you happy? No? You used to be happy?
Very happy.
I'm happy. I'm delighted.
Over the moon.
Did you get your complimentary box of Wackos, Linda?
No, it was coconut rings. We better not go there.
No, we better not.
I'm not getting involved in that conversation. I'll leave that to old Davy.
I reckon Davy's a dunker a day, but that's another story.
How long can you leave it in, no, Ox? That's the thing. So to speak.
It always depends, doesn't it?
It depends on the thickness of the chocolate coating, doesn't it?
That's that, aye. I bet you the Wackos, you drop them in the hot tea and they're gone before you know it.
Keep his chips.
Right, okay. Right, used to man of the match, Jaffa.
Malik Tillman for me.
Linda.
Probably go with Morelos.
And last night I went with Glenn Kamara and I'm sticking with it. Now, how good is that?
Yeah. I couldn't disagree with that either, Ox.
No, me neither. No, I think there was about 6 players that could probably have been man in a match last night, Ox.
Yeah, and how good is that? That's a good thing, isn't it? I don't think we're going overboard. We're being realistic, and we've critiqued and criticised the team a lot. So if we critique it and they've done well, you've got to be fooled this in your praise, Linda.
Yeah, definitely, Ox. Because when they don't play well, we can be quite harsh. After Saturday, I was very disappointed when I left the stadium. I thought we can't continue to play like this. It was really quite an awful game after the first 20-25 minutes. So last night, you've got to give them praise because they were really quite outstanding. I mean, 7 or 8 wouldn't have flattered the Ox. It really wouldn't have, considering how everything turned out with disallowed goals, the chances that we had. Sometimes I think I heard you saying last night with VAR, they're going to have to just hold their run in terms of keeping onside, aren't they? Because let's face it, we would have had the other goals. I don't think, I don't know if they would have been chalked off. And obviously we got the penalty disallowed. I think that was a fair decision, but certainly we could easily have had another 4 goals, and it certainly wouldn't have flattered us. Absolutely not.
Cap, I see that the one that Morelos got chopped off in the second half. Was it Morelos or was it Sakala? Was Sakala playing? That's another story.
He just come on for the last 5 minutes.
No, the one that Alfie was outside the mirror, and it went through, past it, and it was put in, and obviously it was chopped off. The linesman didn't even get that right. It was the second move he flagged for offside. That's how poor he was.
But I thought, Ox, and also, is the rules now that Morelos wasn't actually interfering with play? Because if you use that same logic, look what happened with the Aberdeen goal against us a few weeks ago at Hampden. Gala ran from an onside position. It was, as I understand it, I think it was Morelos that got flagged offside last night.
I don't know. I think we need to simplify the rules in some respects, so we can all understand it. Yeah, and then VAR becomes simpler and quicker, and the game can flow better.
It seemed to take forever, Ox, to come to some of the decisions with VAR, didn't it? It was too long. I know there'll be teething problems, but that was some of the complaints at just how long it seemed to be taking.
All right, we've been joined by Blue Star. Evening, Blue Star.
Evening, Ox, Ger. Evening, Linda. Evening, Jaffa. Oh,
hi, Blue Star.
Evening, Blue Star.
Hi, guys. Oh, that was just sensational to watch. That for me was, I was bouncing about. In fact, I've been hoarse all day still talking about it. It was just, we're back kicks right to our forwards. It was just, it was breathtaking at times. I haven't seen football like that in years. It's certainly this season, even last season, that has to go down as one of the best performances in easily the last number of years. Every player was bang on top form. It was not just our play. See, we're closing down. The way they hunted in packs whenever a Hearts player did get the ball, they'd no sooner looked at the ball that a Rangers player had took it off them. The forward passing, it was breathtaking to watch. It really was. It was magical, sensational stuff.
I think you're right, Blue Star. I mean, fantastic that we've done it, and there'll be a lot of people thinking, well, where's it been? But I know you can't play, you have fluke games that come out the pack where everybody just clicks. But they've shown us they've got a benchmark and they've got to live up to it, mate.
Well, on that, our manager's pressure straight after that game, he said something that was shocking to me. It was absolutely explosive stuff when he was talking about they'd mentioned Lindstrom and they'd mentioned how good Kamara was, and he says we've not getting can't rest on their laurels. He says I'm looking for consistency. He says I've not had consistency. He says we've another game in 3 days. He says and I don't trust them. You see, when he said it, I went, did I hear him right? And lucky enough, I could rewind it. That was the words he says. This guy's he's a real deal. Oh, it's no doubt about it. He knows exactly what he's looking for. He knows exactly what the players are capable of. Because remember, the vast majority of that side last night, he's already worked for them the last time he was here. So he knows what they're capable of. Yes, fitness is obviously a lot to do with it. But there's no doubt in my mind, he's been wiring into these guys. And he's the very fact that he brought in another couple of midfielders, and when he was hitting sound bites like these guys they're not going to be bench warmers, they're going to be in our first team. He's get through to the player seeds, definitely. And they're saying to themselves now, well, I better start stepping up here because this guy's definitely looking to bring these guys in. But the overall performance for every player was it was sensational. It really was. It was magical stuff.
Man of the match for you, Blue Star?
Sorry?
Man of the match?
Man of the match for me, undoubtedly, was Lindstrom. His forward passing and his movement was second to none. I thought Kamara played well. They all did. But for me, it was Lindstrom, definitely.
There you go. There's four different people, man of the match. Jaffa.
I mean, that's Blue Star. I don't disagree with anything you've said there. I think it was brilliant to watch. Probably one of the best performances I've seen for a long time. I tell you, since the last game we played anything like that was against Leipzig, we've got to keep that levels. We've got to get that benchmark and maintain it, and that's now going to be the most important thing moving forward, isn't it?
Oh, without a doubt.
I'll cut across you, Blue Star. We've been joined by Robert. Evening, Robert.
Evening, Ox, Linda, Gaffer, and Blue Star. Hope you're all well, guys, girls.
Hi, Robert.
Hi, Robert.
Evening, Robert.
Listen, Oxford, my back's up tonight. My back's up. I've been happy all day. Like Blue Star, I've been jumping about the house and watched the highlights about 5 times. So delighted with the Rangers last night. What a performance. I'll say it again. What a performance. And I should take your advice, Oxford. I listened to that Radio Snyder night, and a Rangers fan gets my back up. But I'll maybe come back to that. Because I'm just so happy that the Rangers won last night. And I'll tell you something, Oxford. The question you asked Linda and Gaffer at the start, where you're asking where did that performance come from last night? In my opinion, that performance came from getting players back from injury for a start, because we've been decimated with injuries for the start of the season. It's not just been 1 or 2, it's been 7 or 8 players missing, and any team that suffers that are going to suffer, right? And also bringing in a couple of new players will get the players going. So that's my answer to what your question was, Oxford. Where did that come from last night? And also where it came from Michael Beale working with the players for the last 7 or 8 weeks and getting them much more fitter, and that's where it came from. And I'm so delighted. See, the Rangers fan, you cannot fault that team last night. And I gave them 10 out of 10, and I'm going to stick by that. 10 out of 10 to every one of them. Aye, we could have scored more goals, we could have done this or that better. But you know what? See that performance last night? That's what we've been craving for the last 6 or 7 months, and we got it last night.
I can't disagree with you, mate. I can't disagree with a lot of that. Linda?
Yeah, absolutely, Robert. Totally agree with what you said. I mean, the getting the players back from injury, Robert, is absolutely crucial. If you think about it, we didn't even have a fit centre back, Robert. We had a young boy, King, trying to, hold that back line together, and with James Sands alongside him. Two guys, a young guy and a guy playing out of position. And at various stages as well, we had injuries all over the park. So I totally agree. I don't think any team would cope with injury levels like that, Robert, without having sort of a poor results on the back of it. But Michael Beale's a major factor. I think it's the clarity he's bringing. He's obviously got specific roles for them as well, Robert, in terms of certain games, and we're starting to see that come to fruition. So the three things you mentioned there, totally spot on.
Yeah, and Linda, can I ask you a wee question? And I asked Oxus and asked the other panellists a few weeks ago. Linda, in your honest opinion, and I know it's all ifs and buts. See, we Connor Goldson and say Philip Hollander and Yanis Hadji and Tom Lawrence fit for the start of the season. Do you honestly think, Linda, we'd be 9 points behind?
Definitely not.
Yes.
Definitely
Thank
not.
you.
Robert.
Thank you.
I think even if Ben Davis and Connor Goldson would have been fit all season, we wouldn't have been in that situation, Robert, if I'm being honest.
No, you're right. I'm just using Big Hollander because all Rangers fans say he's our best defender option. He is a good defender. His presence in there, unlike Big Connor and Ben Davis. They're not the greatest in there, for being honest about it. But they're good. They're good coming out with the ball, the both of them. But if you want a wee bit of height and clearing the balls for the corner kicks, you know what I mean? Big Hollander's the man. That's the only reason I'm putting him in there. But I'm also thinking B. Hadji and Tom Morris. And there's other ones like Kmart Roof, etc. Oxford, we've been dealt the hand of death. I've never seen a season and I've seen seasons where the Rangers have loads of injury. You'll remember the game back in 92-93, we played Marseille Oxford in the Champions League, and we had about 6 or 7 players missing. Stephen Presley played at the back. Big Haley and Durant were up front. We came for 2-0 behind, and we got a 2-each draw. I was at that game at Ibrox against Marseille. We had horrendous injuries. Remember the game against Aberdeen when we won our first one out of 9 titles, when we had 5 or 6 players injury, and with players playing the injuries like John Brown and Tommy Cowan and all that. I remember the days all year, but I've never experienced this Rangers team's going through the movie, injuries, etc. Never.
No, for sure, mate, for sure. Paul Starr, critique where you think the team's improved. Is it too simple to just say fitness?
Fitness, as I say, he's definitely got into their heads, and I think the very fact that he kept coming out with these sound bites about he was bringing the players in as first teamers. You don't jump automatically for fitness after playing a run of games. And Lindstrom and Jack and Kamara have had games. You don't jump for fitness inside 3 and 4 weeks. Yes, you can increase it a wee bit, but there was the weekend. Now, that performance was pretty dire again at the weekend. Robert's right in one sense. Injuries created a lot of havoc in our defence. Of course it did. It would be stupid to say otherwise. But at the same time, as I've always said, our midfield has been lacking. The apparency in the lack of effort, the lack of desire, the lack of legs was easily there for us all to see. Therefore, our defence was under pressure at times when it normally wouldn't have been. Last night, take the point. How many shots did McGregor have to save? Maybe one he tried to tip out the bar, but it was going up anyway. So the fact of the matter is, our midfield controlled the game. Therefore, Hearts couldn't get at our defence, and it made it a reasonably easy game for our defence. So you've got to take all things into account. It's not just a case of saying, well, if such and such had been fit in defence, we wouldn't have lost goals. For me, the engine room is your midfield. The midfield all season has been lacking, badly lacking. And for me last night, the three of them they just ran right. I mean, Tillman's running after the ball. The way that he was chasing players down. I mean, look at that goal that he laid on for, the shot that he laid on for Alfie. And there was another one, Ox. See Big Goldson's goal. That was that head kick. I mean, his foot was away up near his shoulder, the height that he hit that ball. That was brilliant the way he took that. A striker would have been happy with that goal, never mind a big 6-foot-odd defender. Tillman's thoroughness and he's running and he's chasing down. As I say, the overall performance for me, it was a mixture of things. He's obviously got into the players' heads, and especially our midfielders. And I know our forward line was great today. We Sakala's running. Alfie was back on song. For me, guys, a lot of it stems with our midfield. They totally dominated that match. And if our midfield players are dominating the game and dominating the ball, it makes it easier for our attackers, and it certainly makes it easier for our defence because the opposing teams can't get it.
Aye. It's a simple game, Jaffa.
Oh, it's very simple when you play, when you put a performance in, when a 10 out of 10, when all the players do that last night, and it clicks. and the tactics are right, and the desire's right, and the application's right. I think everything that we all witnessed last night and everything that we saw, everything that Blue Star alluded to there, the positional strength for me was the work off the ball and the positional strength, in particular the midfield area that Blue Star's talking about. Every time the Hearts players get the ball, there was 3 or 4, we were coming at them from all angles, poking the ball away from them, stopping them in their tracks, breaking their play up, disrupting them. And then the best thing that we were doing, the most efficient thing we were doing after that, Ox, was it wasn't even just one pass and get it forward. The ball was going forward automatically, rather than going square, which we've been wanting to doing. Pedestrian, as you would hear a lot of the guys on here saying, a lot of the callers and a lot of the pundits on here saying that we look really pedestrian at times. There was none of that last night. Absolutely none of it. I mean, there was a wee bit near the end when the game was dead, but the game was dead by that time. It was gone. And I was still, one other thing, Ox, on last night's game, I'm absolutely baffled as to how they got the possession to 51% Rangers and 49% Hearts. I don't know where they got that. I would love to know who puts these stats together.
No. It must have been, and that must take into consideration when their goal was taking goal kicks, mate. That's in their possession.
It must do. Aye. I mean, we had 20 shots last night to Hearts 6. They had 2 on target and we had 9 on target. Hearts were blown away last night.
Aye. Sander Clark had some magnificent saves. One of the saves for Sakala in the first half, I never noticed it live. I just thought Sakala had missed a sitter in fashion, Robert. When I seen it today, what a save it was.
Was that the one Tolman went down the wing and he cut it back? And that was a great save. But also, let's be honest about it. Now we all come on here, and Blue Star's right, 100%. You've been saying it for a long, long time on here about legs in midfield. But see, last night it's as if they all seemed to get legs. John Lundstrom, Glenn Kamara was. To me, Glenn Kamara was outstanding, and I don't want to pick a man of the match, but if I do, it's him. But I could pick 4 or 5 others, and many times you watch the Rangers when you can pick 4 or 5 man of the matches. We Ryan Kent, he worked his butt off, didn't he? Let's be honest about it. Big Bomber at last was taking players on and get balls into the box when he's been frustrating me at Ibrox. When he gets at the halfway line, he passes it back the way. And that wasn't happening last night. Buffalo was back to his old self. You know what I mean? Getting in people's faces and then they criticise him for celebrating. I'll come on to that later on if you don't mind, but I'll tell you one thing. Good on you, Buffalo. Well done. But see, last night, also, nobody can criticise the Rangers. And because that was an almost perfect performance, apart from what should have happened was that game should have finished Hearts 0, Rangers 7. That's no exaggerating. That's what should have happened last night, and that's how good the Rangers played. And I'm one bear, happy bear, watching that last night. And I've watched it 5 times a day because I just thought Rangers.
Take a breath. I know you've not got a cloak.
I'm just so happy.
Going to have a tune, mate. Take a breath.
Thank you.
Unless you want to sing live, Robert. Let's have a tune.
How many years ago, my boys, I left the Glasgow town. I followed the pull of the Yankee land and here I've settled down. Although I met the Bridgeton Cross and my friends so near and dear, but I would give if I could have the Rangers over here. Singing back of California where the sun shines all the year. Singing Bama Batcher Broadway like so clear. But if it would fill my heart with sadness, it would fill my heart with cheer. If we only had the Rangers over here. For they're the finest team in all the land, and I'm sure that you'll agree. To see them win is something grand, it's part of history. For the boys who fear no noise, my lads, and I mean that's quite sincere. What I would give if I could have the Rangers over here. Higginbach of California, where the sun shines all the year. Higginbottom, my Butcher, Broadway, life so clear. But it would fill my heart with gladness, it would fill my heart with cheer. And we only had the Rangers over here. Finest team in all the land, and I'm sure that you'll agree. To see them win is something grand, it's part of history. We're the boys who fear no noise, my lads, and I mean this quite sincere. What I would give if I could have the Rangers over here. You can talk of California, where the sun shines all the year. You can bomb my Butcher, Broadway, light so clear. But it would fill my heart with gladness, it would fill my heart with cheer. And we only have the Rangers over here. And we only have the Rangers over here. And we only have the Rangers over here.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Yes. You're right to be enthused, Robert. He's right to be enthused, Linda, isn't he? I mean, it was a good performance. We played well. We should have scored more goals. That's a criticism. Some of it was bad luck. Some of it was good goalkeeping. I mean, I think he had three outstanding saves. The one that was nearly an own goal was in.
Hello.
Miraculous. Oh, the Bridgeman's joined us, I think.
Good evening.
How are we doing?
All right, yourselves?
Oh, everybody's
Evening, Bridge.
Bridge, I don't
Evening,
know.
Bridge.
Hello, Bridge.
How you doing? I hope everybody's okay. Wonderful score last night. Great result. Great game. Great game for Rangers anyway. I thought they were excellent.
Yeah, mate. What pleased you the most, Bridge?
Well, just the pace that we managed to get into our game. We've seen ourselves playing that kind of pace before, and we've looked great. We seem to lift it against that mob across the city, but we haven't done it again for a wee while. So now they've brought it back. He's got some young faces in there. I thought there was a number of players you could have picked from, maybe 5 players that could have been man of the match. Personally, I went for what's his name? I can always forget their names, you know. A little Lundstrom and Kamara. Between them, I think I'll go for Kamara. I think Kamara was the best. And obviously Morelos getting the goals. But a wonderful display by the team. Great stuff, great pace, great fitness. Looked really good. So this manager seems to be getting what he needs from them, from the training field into the pitch. And he needs to keep that going.
Wonder?
Yeah, absolutely, Bridge. And Bridge, I don't know about you, but
Wonder, somebody's got a TV or something on in the background. Carry on, Wonder.
Bridge, I was just saying earlier on there, I mean, we weren't expecting that level of performance. We were hoping for it, weren't we? But, you know, it's just that it was such a surprise in terms of even how we started the game. But it was a pleasant surprise, Bridge, wasn't it? And let's face it, it could have been 7-0, as Robert said.
Oh yeah, for me, that was, as I say, it was 3 going on 13. That's how much we were in charge. And there were 3 goals chalked off for offside. You know, wow. You got to say to yourself, how lucky were Hearts, sir? How lucky.
Bridge, man, can I ask you a wee question? Can I ask you a question, pal? You're like me. You've been shouting out for a long time on Rangers Radio about signing a 6'5" defender, right? This is what we're up against, Bridgeman. This is what we're up against. See that 6'5" defender, and I watched him in the World Cup, and his brother plays for the Glasgow Rangers, John Souttar. Harry Souttar went from Stoke to Leicester for £15 million, and he's 6'5". What chance did the Rangers have, Bridgeman?
Certainly, we couldn't enter that market. We have to be honest. We couldn't enter that market. So we have to look around for the sort of cheaper versions of some of these players. But they are there. There's some of them very good. Like, when I first mentioned this, I'm talking years and years ago, I mentioned this. And the first thing Oxford said to me was, we want somebody who can play football. And that's what we need. We need a big giant who's got a great character, could possibly end up being our captain. But he needs to be able to play football, play the game, and do what he needs to do. And I think that's what we really need. So I agree, but I mean, I don't know if Harry Souttar would be the answer, our answer, but we couldn't afford 15 million, that's for sure.
Exactly.
So, hey, what can we say? Look at the performance of Lundstrom. I mean, the last game he played, he was hardly in it. He disappeared for ages, you know. But last night he was all over the park. One wonderful performance, and only bettered by Kamara, and shortly behind him was Morelos. And you could have said any of the other guys as well, because there was lots and lots, and their defence are quite good. And Ben Davies, I think I heard Oxley saying it. He never even need to take his gear off. You know, he wore him home. Nice and dry.
Bridgeman, don't you commend Big Lundstrom, because I think we all seen it when he lifted his tap a few weeks ago. I think it was against Celtic, and he's all strapped up and he's playing an injury. You've got to commend somebody like that, whether they're playing good or no. He was brilliant against Celtic, right? And then he's been off form and stuff like that till last night. He was outstanding. But you've got to commend somebody like that wants to go out there and wants to play for the shirt. Do you know where I'm coming from?
I know exactly where you're coming from. If you just think about what we're saying, or what I've been saying any years, I've always said the same thing. But if you've got Lundstrom and Kamara and Morelos and someone else like that playing, and they're actually very close to being man of the match performances, that's what you need. You need 3 or 4 players in your team that are going to be man of the match every week. You know, and that's what you're getting. You're seeing that from Lundstrom. Lundstrom had nobody beside him from a midfield perspective. Kamara was a bit off form, and whoever else was on there off form. Ryan Jack wasn't clicking it. But last night, all these things came to pass, and there was Morelos sniffing around. You know, you put 3 really good players on the pitch for Rangers, and it'll lift the rest of the team, and that's what we did.
Here. I agree with you, Bridge. I thought Glenn Kamara was man of the match. You know, that's arguably 2 games he's been my best player. And if you think about it, I've got to Blue Star with this. I mean, there's been times where there ain't one of the players not being criticised. And I include that started last night. Even Tillman, you know, when he started, there was times he went really missing. I thought he was excellent for the first, particularly the first half. I thought he was a bit quiet the second half, and he ran out of legs about 65 minutes, Blue Star, in my opinion. Yeah, but that boy shows enough. You know, his goal, his movement, and I think it was the first goal that got chopped off. The touch to Sakala was sublime. If you see it, you watch it back in the replay. I'm sure Robert must have watched it when he seen it today, when he watched it 50 times. Blue Star?
His touch was amazing. I mean, that one on the touchline, as I say, no other player was anywhere near the vicinity. And he chased that ball right onto the touchline. And they were all probable at that. Where's he going here? And he managed to header the ball and header it back the way. As I say, I think Alfie lasted the hour. But, I mean, it just showed you the commitment to the guy. And obviously that's came for the manager, because there's been umpteen games he would have wee flashes of brilliance and then he disappears. A bit like Lundstrom. Kamara, you can go through them all, Ken. But last night, they were all playing. As soon as they were on that ball, as soon as they were after the ball, they were running into space. Linda said it at the start of the show. As soon as a midfielder had that ball last night, he had any one of 4 or 5 guys in front of him. They weren't just looking at Alfie up front and his Jack Jones. There was 4 and 5 guys running forward at all times. Goodness, even Borna. I mean, Borna for me last night, that was him back to his old self. Some of the cross balls he was putting in, he was whipping them in with pace, but with accuracy. And you were looking at the corners and you're saying to yourself, Gosh, some of the times we've been lucky if we've had maybe Goldson and Alfie in there. There was 5, 6, 7 blue shirts at all times, every time there was an attack. And that's coming from your manager, 100%. He's telling them all to move and move off the ball so that when players have got the ball, they've got targets to push the ball through. As I say, it was a splendid performance. It really was sensational stuff. And that's the benchmark. That's what they've got to strive to get all the time. We know it's hard, but that's where a squad of players comes in. And these guys that were watching that game, the ones that were just signed, etc. As I say, even whenever he brought Cantwell on one Oxford in the faraway touchline, there was 2 guys in top of him. He was actually falling. He managed to keep his cell up, squeeze his cell between, prodded the ball, and then he was running away and Snodgrass pulled him, and that's what he get booked for. You can see the guy's touch is amazing. As I say, Tillman as well, Kamara, Lundstrom, midfield were exceptional last night. They really were.
By the way, I'll be honest with you, I didn't want the game to end last night, Robert, because I wanted to see more of Cantwell.
Oh, listen, definitely. I mean, he came on. He's a player in the upstairs. He's a player. But he came back and touching about Malik Tillman. I'm going to say it right now in the start of February 2023. Is it 5 million Bayern Munich want? I'm telling you right now, guys. He started off really good. Then he had a wee low. But he's a 20-year-old football player. So he's going to have that at that age. And he's come on. And he scored some important goals for us, and he's done some magical things for us. And I know he can disappear in games. Who doesn't he? But top players don't disappear. Malik Tillman, 5 million, I pay it tomorrow. There you go.
All right. I'll tell you what we're going to do now. We're going to hear through your manager, Michael Beale, again, if that's all right, the second half of his interview. If you don't mind getting yourself a mute. And we'll hear from your gaffer, Michael Beale.
Just to go back to Fashion, has he maybe not been given enough credit for how flexible he is as a player? We've seen him since you've been in play as a 9, 10, maybe even wide. He scored goals on the left, on the right, left foot, right foot. I thought last night was sort of what we would expect him to be as a sort of standard, but he's got a lot more strength to go. Is that sort of testament to how maybe you need to give certain players 8-10 games in a row to see what they can do consistently?
I think me coming back, certainly Fashion, I was around him when we signed him. He played in a front 2 in Belgium and was very exciting. He played for a team that didn't have a lot of possession, so he was able to run in big spaces. And then he comes and plays for Rangers and the game looks completely different. That's going to take a bit of time. I always think he's very, very dangerous. He's a very, very game-effective player. If you want to focus on, does he take part in all the possession? Does he make it a beauty contest? Maybe not, but is he very, very effective running in big spaces? And over the 90-minute game, will he get chances to score or assist? In every game Fashion plays, it's that way. Whenever there's a game where there's spaces, he's very, very effective. So I think in our squad, he's essential. I expect Rabbi Matondo to be very similar as well when he's back and fit.
And the first thing you mentioned last night was how pleased you were with the team out of possession. It really felt like Glenn Kamara and John Lundstrom set the tempo there and drove that, the amount of balls they won, etc. Are they now fully fit again? I know that they were carrying some injuries. Are they just being able to be managed, and we're sort of seeing that on the pitch, the uptick from them?
We've definitely got our legs back, I think. And that's come through a tough schedule. I think we've got our legs back, and I think our understanding and our cohesion helps that as well. And I was very disappointed with the last 20 minutes against St Johnstone. I changed the shape, and after that I thought we looked dreadful out of possession. So we went back to what we knew today, or last night should I say, and I think we've got our legs back, but I think we've got our collective understanding. I think it's the two things intertwined.
Obviously, Michael, form's been excellent since you came in, results as well, yet that gap still sits there. Are you having to manage the players at all? I'm sure their confidence is going up, but there must be some frustration that they're not able to get into that at all.
They can only do their job, can't they? And they're doing it very, very well at this moment in time. I haven't spoke to them about whether they're frustrated. I've just spoke to them about playing the next game. I think last night, people outside of the game and outside of our club were waiting for us to slip up last night. So it was important that we laid a marker down, and we did. that's all they can do. We go to Ross County and then we can park the league for a minute because we've got a really important cup game after that. And then we've got a tricky one away at Livingston. We've had some tricky away games back to back. So I think all we can do is focus on the next game. I think the competition in the building's what's driving the team at the moment. And I think we're not looking too far ahead other than the next game and trying to improve on very specific areas of each game. Last night was a step forward, but I do feel we owe our home fans a good performance as well. I think it's been a while since probably the Aberdeen home game where we've put in a really strong performance. We played well in moments. I thought against St Johnstone, if we take our chances, then everyone's saying it's a different game. But in terms of the frustration is probably there from before I come. I haven't lived that frustration. I can only play the games that are in front of me now.
Just a slight tangent. I know you were asked about Malik Tillman last night, his situation. You've talked about Morelos and Kent, and there's no deadline as far as I understand in resolving that. As manager though, with a bigger picture in mind, would you not rather get clarity on these situations so that you can plan, and obviously plan to start next season with hitting the ground running?
Yeah, look, I've got a bit more clarity that I probably can give outwards, obviously. It's a bit like in the transfer window when obviously you guys will say I'm contradicting myself. I obviously had more clarity than you guys. I can only say so much, but at the moment those three boys are playing fantastically well along with Fashion, and it's hard for the other attackers because they've been relentless in terms of the goals and assists and the chances that they're making. I like all three of them a lot. I think they know that. Things are really calm at the moment, but what I would say is if the three of them weren't there, I think we're able to play without them at the moment because we've got Todd and we've got Nico and we'll have Tom Lawrence, we'll have Kamaru, we've got Antonio Cholak. We seem in quite a good place at the moment.
Talking about your front players, Alfredo took a bit of stick last night from an ex-Rangers player who called him an idiot and said he was inciting the Hearts supporters. How do you feel about that?
I wouldn't agree with that. I think the Hearts supporters were maybe trying to incite Alfredo for the whole 90 plus minutes. If we're going to say that players can't celebrate goals now, we might as well stop the game. There was a long stoppage for that goal, and I think he went and celebrated it. He was, 20 plus yards from him. I think a lot's made about them sort of things in Scotland that's not made. I've worked down south. I've never known this to be a big thing. When we score our second goal and our first goal, we're 2 yards from their fans. And we've got to celebrate the goal. What do you want us to do? Not celebrate, and then everyone say he's moody and he wants away because he don't celebrate. I think we've got to... I think Neil's obviously on the radio, he's passionate, he played for both clubs, he's trying to be impartial and he said what he said. I think he'll regret that more than maybe Alfredo celebrating.
Would you be happy with Alfredo continuing to celebrate like that?
I want him to really celebrate goals. I want the whole team to. It's the hardest thing in football to do. We're a team that when we're not playing well gets everything thrown at us, and when we're winning and we're winning away at home and in front of a rival that's the place behind us in the league. They were unbeaten in 10 games coming in. It was a big performance. You want people to play with passion. You want them to celebrate goals, and it's not inciting. He wasn't right up in front of their face. I think if you look it back, he was at least 20 yards from the byline. So I think VAR sort of stops you celebrating, then he celebrated afterwards. I think it's much ado about nothing. I think we should probably be talking about some of the abuse that comes the other way in our stadiums, not so much the players celebrating goals.
And what's changed for Alfredo? That's 6 goals in 7 games under your coach. He was off the boil at the start of the season. What's clicked for him, do you think?
Just playing regular, I think. Just playing regular and just enjoying his football. And we're creating a lot of chances. I think he could probably have a few more goals, if I'm honest. And that's probably drove him. That's 2 away at Kilmarnock and then 2 away at Hearts in the last couple of difficult away games. I'm over the moon with Alfredo at the moment. He's no bother to me around the building. And so, yeah, so far so good. Antonio's waiting on the sidelines. He's not 100% fit, but it's difficult, when the centre forward's in such good form. It's not really an area you'd voluntarily rotate. So it's difficult for Tony. But earlier in the season, the reverse was true, and Tony was scoring a lot. So it's a good place for us to be in.
What challenge are you expecting from Ross County on Saturday? They're a team that has surprised you before in the past.
Well, Well, the young player there, Jan Dandu, I had at Liverpool, he's in fine form at the moment, scored in the last couple of games. I think that Malky does a really, really good job. I think his team tried to play the right way. He's used the loan market and the free market really well the last couple of years and brought some interesting players into the league. It must have been really difficult for him to lose Charles Cook and Hungbo at the end of last season, but he seems to have recruited well. They've always given us a difficult game at Ibrox. So, I remember some difficult moments against them, and what I would say about Malky is always sets his team up to try to win the game. So they've got a different type of battle between now and the end of the season than what we've got, but it's important we put on a strong home performance. There will be changes to our team to keep refreshing it, and I'm looking forward to it. It's important we recover well, because obviously they played on Tuesday and we played late last night, so we get the one day less to recover.
You said the team aren't quite where you would like them to be, but are you seeing improvements every week to get to where you would like them to start playing at?
Yeah, that needs to be a regular last night in terms of that energy and desire out of possession. Sometimes we get seduced by having the ball and we forget that our counter pressing and our defensive work's really the foundation to this team's success domestically and in Europe the last few seasons, and I won't stop staying on them until I see that becoming habits again rather than just in isolated moments. I thought that was the key to last night's performance. That pressing and that running together and that harassing Hearts meant they couldn't get out. We got them into their half and we kept them there, and we attacked through the middle, round the sides. If we lost it, we counter pressed again. The centre backs locked down. They had quite a lot of pace on the pitch, but they never got any joy because maybe Snodgrass couldn't get his eyes up to use his fantastic passing because we was in and around him. And I thought we really suffocated Hearts for large periods of the game. And then I suppose the only thing for me is, can we score more? Because Zander Clark had a particularly good game last night, but also we missed some big chances as well. And that's the same as St Johnstone. So it's probably been the same in every game I've been here, that we've missed big chances to maybe to the perception outside to be a lot nicer than maybe it's been. But inside, we know we've got a lot of work to do.
Well, thanks for that, Fox. He ain't no idiot. Michael Beale. Jaffa?
That was a shocking statement by Neil McCann. I was absolutely stunned when I heard that this morning. The kind of language that he was using and the platform that he's on and who he's speaking to. That's not acceptable, that, to be honest with you. And he should apologise to Alfredo Morelos for that, in my opinion. For celebrating, for knee sliding on the grass to celebrate a goal. I mean, come on. What's the world coming to?
Remember, some of the pitches Alfredo's played in the last few weeks, he couldn't slide. There was no grass on them.
You're right.
Don't want to make a big deal of it, but a bit naive, Neil. But Michael Beale, our manager, he ain't no idiot, Linda, is he? He's playing the players, he's playing the press, and he's letting the supporters know.
Absolutely, Ox. And as I said earlier, he's impressive and he's grown in stature and basically being the manager of Rangers, he's really taken it on. I think he handled that very well. I mean, the pressers are quite long now because they like to ask him lots of questions and he's quite informative. But the whole Alfie thing, if Rangers don't play as well as they did last night, and if we don't win as comfortably, we were the best team by a mile, we were streets ahead of them, that's not an issue, that whole incident. There's nothing else to beat us with. So that's been chosen and highlighted. But I would agree with Jaffa. Totally out of order from Neil McCann. Totally out of order, Ox.
I think the problem with people like this is that they are so stupid that they have no idea how stupid they are. You see, if you're very, very stupid, how can you possibly realise that you're very, very stupid? You'd have to be relatively intelligent to realise how stupid you are.
That was the end of everybody. That was just make your own mind up. Right, okay. Michael Beale, going to be changes for the weekend. I've got my thoughts on that, Robert. Do you want to hear them? I said it last night, but I'll repeat them just for you, mate.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Your changes.
Right, I think he'll keep the same back four. You might even have McLaughlin come in. Yeah, you might, but I don't think so. I would start with Glenn Kamara, and then in front of him, I would have Tillman and Cantwell with Sakala, Kent, and Morelos.
Yeah.
So I would only make one change.
And okay, that's good, and I'm glad you're resting Lundstrom, because I would do the same. I'd give Big John a rest. But what about on the wing? What about playing? What would you have your start?
I don't think he's ready, mate. I think he'll come on. I think Jolak will come on. I think Lundstrom will come on. And if we get it right, Ryan Jack will come on. You know, and you can, and Alex Lowry can come on for Kent. If we go out and play at a tempo what we did last night, Blue Star, it will be 3 or 4-0 by half time, and then the manager can do what he likes.
Yeah, just going on what he said there. When he said there'd be changes, plural, I think it'll be more than one, guys. I get your thinking. I think he might rest Sakala. Earlier on in that interview when he mentioned he played Sakala because he thought they would play coming at an attacking team. Therefore, it was going to leave plenty of space. We're playing at home. I don't see us having a lot of space. So he might have him as a sub, and he might play ball players, i.e. Cantwell, and he might even start with Hadji, just get him up to speed. But you might be right. Who knows? We don't really know. What I would say on him, Ox, I just love listening to the guy. Yes, his pressers go on because the press want to ask him questions, and he goes right into deep conversation with them. But see his knowledge when he's talking about other teams, other managers, and especially other players. He's a right connoisseur of the game. There's no doubt about it. He's got some knowledge as players. He definitely has. I love listening to the guy.
He's a big fan of Top Trumps, Linda.
Okay, can I just say, I'm looking forward to the big game, right? I'm not getting up in the league, right? I'm not throwing in the league, right? Because we can still win it, but it's highly unlikely, right? So I'm thinking about the cup games, right? And see for that game against when is it, the 26th of February? I would like to rest players like Lundstrom and that, and give them a wee rest and get them up to speed, and get Hadji in the team, and get Cantwell in the team to get him up to speed, because I would like to think Michael Beale is thinking about that game at Hampden, because that's a big, big game. Rangers versus that lot, that's a big game, and that's one we need to win. And see if we win that, that'll put a doubt in their faces. And that's what, if I was Michael Beale, I'd be thinking about that game at the end of February. Us against them. Bring it on.
I'll get close after the Partick Thistle Cup tie, but we'll go get it the next two games at the White Jaffa.
Yeah, we do, and obviously, you know, we still need to keep the winning going, Ox. You know, and I know what you're saying about 3 or 4-0 at home with these games. I still would like him to look upon these games if we do get that kind of level, you know, in front against the Ross Counties of this world and St Johnstone last week. I'd really like to see him start going for the goal difference, Ox. You know, you just never know. It could become apart. It might not. But if the team are on it again, and we get a similar kind of performance, depending on who he plays, I like the sound of your 4-1, 4-1, or however he wants to set it up. You know, with that kind of level of skill and guile and craft in the middle of the park, that I just, you know, Ross County would find it very difficult. But it's all down to that rotation again and that fluidity. That front three and the press and everything else, and getting the ball back off them and playing through them, because they're going to sit behind the ball. We know that. so we're going to have to thread the ball through them and play between the lines. But we can do it, and with guys like Cantwell on the park, that's right. That's his bag, innit? That's what he's best at. And Tillman, and Tillman could thread the ball through an eye and needle. That guy's got what a pass he's got on him.
Yeah, here, come and join us. 0141 356 1972. Give us your thoughts. Give us your thoughts when the manager says, "Are you enjoying the Beale era?" Well, you can't complain, Linda, with the results.
Absolutely not. Was that 11 games, 10 wins and a draw? So, obviously nearly 100% record. And let's face it, we should have won that game as well. And we've not had any complaints about the results, Ox. It's been the performances. And I don't think, some of the games have been pretty poor to watch at times. But he came in the door, he settled the ship, he's got us back to winning ways. And if we can just keep those levels of performance that we saw last night, if we can keep that going, we won't get it every game, Ox. I totally understand that. But if it's more often than not, then I think that'll be good enough for us. I totally agree with Jaffa in terms of the goals. I would like us to just go and score as many goals as we can. It's a good habit to get into, and you just never know in terms of that goal difference as well.
Ox, it was interesting to hear his wee quip on Matondo, eh?
It surprised me, but I think he's always thinking Blue Star. He's thinking small picture, big picture constantly, mate.
That's what I'm saying, Ox. He's connoisseur of the game. He's not just looking at his 11 players. He's looking at what he's got in that bench. He wants his strength. He wants the players that he takes off for every bit as good to come on to replace him. And I love that. And that's just what we didn't have. And now that he's got players coming back and he's got new ones coming in, to bring that level of performance last night, if we can go forward and bring that anywhere near that level of performance, goodness gracious, that's what we all want to see. That's what we all love.
Yep. Oh, sure.
Yes, mate.
Oh, sure. I'm going to drop out. Just what I do, can I ask you, Linda, Jaffa, and
Blue Star
a wee question before I drop out, right? And it's a wee question regarding my favourite Rangers player, right? You don't know who it is, right? And I heard this on Radio Schneider, right? And it got my back up. It really got my back up after that performance last night. And somebody comes on to Radio Schneider and has a dig at my favourite player. Can I ask you and the panellists a wee question? And I'll start with Linda. I'll start with Beauty. Linda, can I ask you a wee question? And yes, I want to hear Oxford and Jaffa and Blue Star's answer. Linda, should James Tavernier, my favourite, be the Rangers captain? Yes or no?
Did you say should he what?
Should James Tavernier be the Rangers captain? Yes or no?
Yes.
Oxford? No, sorry. Yeah. I'll leave you there then.
I thought you were doing it with Beauty. I thought I'd be next.
Jaffa.
Yes,
and listen, I'll appreciate all your opinions, and I'll not be offended what you say, Jaffa.
Yes, because he's the way he handles himself both on and off the park, Robert.
Thank you. Blue Star?
Quite simply, he is Rangers captain. That's it. End of story. There's no ifs, buts, maybes. He's our captain. That's it.
Yeah. And Oxford, finally you.
Yes, because there's merit in being the Rangers captain. And people realise the leader on the park is Connor Golson. But James Tavernier is the leader of the club.
And Oxford, I totally agree with that. But see, Big Golson is the leader, right? But people don't see what Tab does after the park when players come in and Tab takes them around the training ground and Tab introduces them to the Rangers Football Club. And don't forget his 93 goals, his 100 and whatever assists he has. And people sometimes forget about James Henry Tavernier, what he does for our club. And I'll say one thing, I'll say good night, Oxford. And I know I love him so much, but you know what? See, when that guy leaves your club, that's when we'll really realise how good he was for us, how good a captain, how good a player. And he might have not won hundreds of trophies, but he's done a good goal for us, a good goal. Oxshire, thank you for taking my call tonight, and good night, guys. Linda, always a pleasure listening to you, because you are just amazing. Good night, guys.
Night, Robert.
See you, Robert.
All the time he's been on here, Jeff, and he's never once said that to me.
Do you know what? Yeah, we just a wee footnote. I was trying to get Robert there before he left us. I don't know if he knows this, but James Tavernier, we thought we had a penalty last night when Ryan Jack, when he got kind of, depends how you view it, momentum and all the rest of it, the incident where he went down in the box. If he'd scored that last night, that would have been his 50th penalty for Rangers.
Wow.
So he's on 49 currently.
Jeez.
Some start.
Unbelievable start.
Somebody saying that aiming for his double 50th. We've been joined by old Davy. How we doing, Davy?
Oh, the coconut ring.
Linda, don't laugh at it. You're just encouraging them.
Hello, David. Hello, David.
How you doing, sweetheart? Hi, I'm fine, sweetheart. I'm fine. Don't listen to all the lunatics. How you doing, guys? Good show as usual. I thought that was like he's actually all covered the game.
Thanks for the call. We'll speak to you again then if we will.
You must have a tape recorder that venue. No, what I was going to ask you was what we were talking about there. Is when we're talking about how well we were playing and everything else, do you think we're being a wee bit presumptuous? I'm not taking anything away from it, but I'll ask you this. Were we as good as what we looked, or was Hearts as bad as what they looked?
If you don't mind, I'll take that, Jaffa, Linda, first, and then you can maybe come in, Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hearts try to play a game of football and set their still to try and win the game, and we murdered them. That's Hearts' problem. You can only play what's in front of you, and we were excellent last night, David.
Yeah, well, I don't agree with that, but I'll be more confident if we can play all our games in that manner, and that's still to come, I hope.
I don't know if you ever will hit the heights of it, because you had a game last night where it just a lot of things went right. You don't always get that, but that's the benchmark. Jaffa, then Linda. Oh, there's Davey opening a wacko. On you go, Davey, over that.
No, it's Maltesers. I'm backing a Maltesers tonight.
Oh.
You got the pension money through. Carry on, Jaffa.
Davey, like Ox, I mean, to play three at the back against Fashion Sakala and Ryan Kent, two speed kings, in particular Sakala, he absolutely tore them, never mind Ryan Kent tearing them apart. Fashion Sakala tore them to shreds last night. They couldn't live with him, no matter where he popped up. And that, for me, was just tactical naivety in the case of Robbie Nielsen. And the Hearts boys. But listen, Davey, I know I hear what you're saying, but you've still got to execute it. You've got to put the game plan together. You've got to score the goals. And by God, did we score the goals last night? I mean, even the three that get chopped offside, it was so marginal. We're probably talking centimetres in some of the cases. A foot was or a toe was, depending how they're standing. It's a live game at the end of the day. Davey, I only see it through blue tinted glasses like the rest is. So I'm just happy we annihilated them. They deserve all they get for putting a performance like that out.
Yes, sir.
Davey, if we don't play well, we criticise our own team. We don't give our team credit. When we play well, we've got to be fair to our own team. Linda.
Yeah, absolutely, Ox. I think as well, Davey, Michael Beale was talking about, I think he was asked about whether that was the benchmark, that performance, but even he said that every game's different. Hearts, as Ox said, did try to play football against us, but a lot of times, particularly at home, they'll come and sit in, and that's probably what Ross County are going to do on Saturday, Davy. But the thing about us at home is that we seem to lapse into this slow build-up play and a lack of tempo. And I know there's not as much space, but we need to keep the tempo up. And also at home as well, we need to try and shoot more. You know, sometimes we're reluctant to do that. So, but it wouldn't surprise me if Saturday comes and we maybe don't go out and score a barrel load of goals, Davy. But I would still like us to play at a high tempo and take more shots at goal.
Definitely great point for Linda. Well, on Davy's point, we did not allow Hearts to play. We didn't allow them to play because any time they got the ball, we had 2 and 3 players hunting them down. That was the difference. We played, yes, you asked the question, was it we played well? We played better than well. That's the best we've played. All our team, every player was on their game. That was the difference. We made them look ordinary, simply because we stopped them playing and we raised our levels. Linda's point there, the shooting, definitely, 100%, and she's bang on. Ross County will defend in numbers. Therefore, guys like Hadji, Cantwell, the ball players, they're going to have to punch balls through, and definitely, she's bang on when she says, we need more than one player taking shots. They're going to have to take pot shots whenever the penalty areas are full. But on that, Ox, thanks for taking my call, mate. As I say, I had to come on tonight. I had to express my joy at last night's performance. I've been crying out for it since the start of the season, and that truly was exceptional and sensational to watch. And let's hope, here's hoping onwards and upwards, and that's just a benchmark for a start for us. But great show, guys. Carry on the good work. Good night.
Good to you soon.
See you, Blue Star.
Night, Blue Star.
Cheers, Blue Star.
I get your point, Davey. I get your point. I mean, you know, it was a nice surface. It was a good atmosphere, you know. Everything was sort of in their favour. They played an open game with no real defensive players in their team, apart from Snodgrass trying to do a lot. And if I'm being honest, Jaffa, he looked like a guy who was done, wasn't he? How many times did he?
Aye, I mean, every single one of our players, you know, either took the ball off him or robbed him blind, or Kamara I think, took the ball off him 2 or 3 times. Lundstrom did. You know, I know Michael Beale, you know, as well as alluding to earlier there, he is a connoisseur of football. I heard him in the press conference talking about the vision of Robert Snodgrass. Yeah, that might have been the Robert Snodgrass 5 or 6 years ago, but last night, you know, guys like Tillman and I mean, Sakala and Morelos even up front, he never got near any of them, Ox. He was chasing shadows all night. And that's a testament to our team, and again that movement at the front line, Ox. I mean, the movement last night was breathtaking. Off the ball movement was wonderful. I'd urge you to go back and watch the game again and just see some of the positional areas that we were taking up, even when we were on attack. I mean, that goal, the second goal last night to me was absolute. I was jumping and doing cartwheels in the living room when it went in. The ball to the back post for Big Olsen, and you saw Tillman. He was watching a mile away what was going to happen. And as Blue Star said, the height he got his foot up to knock the ball. I mean, half the Hearts fans were stunned because they didn't even realise that the ball had actually ended up in the net because it looked that easy. It was a wonderful goal, an absolute tremendous goal. Still purring.
Aye, I get your thing about the movement. There was one in the second half, I think, with maybe 20 minutes to go, with Kamara overlapped in the left-hand side, mate, and he's burst at pace. And you're thinking, go ahead, Kamara. You know, we know you've got that. And the run, I'll say it again, Linda, the run for Golson, for his own box. Yeah.
And they're all going on about the handball as well. And honestly, Ox, people don't even know the rules. You know, if it comes up off part of your body, it's not a penalty, and they're still going on about that as well. But that would have been sensational from Big Connor. I know sometimes in the past we've been fairly critical of him, Ox, because he has made mistakes. We do understand that and we recognise it. But what centre back doesn't? But I think we realised how much of a player he is for us, Ox, when we didn't have him there. I think he's been terrific. And I think he'll probably be disappointed he's not got another couple of goals to his name as well, Ox, because he gets on the end of things. And sometimes you think, he's probably come off and thought, I should have had a goal today. But yeah, that would have been some goal. Absolutely. I mean, the energy he showed, and this is a guy as well who, how long has he been back, Ox? Maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And Michael Beale also said earlier that he rushed him and Davies back.
Well, you're getting honesty for Beale. Jaffa.
Yeah, absolutely, Ox. He is. We said earlier on at the start of the show, Michael Beale. I mean, he's just you could listen to him all day long. The information he gives you and the language that he uses, and then the way he talks about certain players, and he talks about Sakala. He's not going to look pretty on the eye. He's not going to be playing 1-2s all day. But what he will do? He'll get you to the byline, and he'll shoot every time he gets the ball.
Touch for the goal, the Morelos goal, mate. His touch is exquisite.
Aye, he was brilliant last night, Ox, to a man. Wee Sakala, again, a good run of games. He's clearly in the manager's plans. Yeah, talking about that clarity, it's absolutely brilliant, Ox. I can only imagine these guys absolutely love it, and he's probably telling them weeks in advance when they're playing. You'll be playing this game, you'll be sitting out that game. I want you rested. I want you to do this. The way he's managing the players individually, talking about Yanis Hadji, came on for a last week. He said 2 days downtime to go and recover. He's been back at it. I just think the whole structure and the management of the players is you can only commend it, Ox. He's clearly he's an absolute animal for detail, Michael Beale. I can only imagine what it must be like in there. There'll be charts, there'll be everything. The players will know from minute to minute, day to day, what they're doing, what they're all doing week to week. And I think on their diets, the whole lot. I think he's all over them, Ox. And the players love that, and the modern footballer loves that.
Oh, we're going to have to start that in here. Diet charts.
I don't think there's enough room in the water.
Davey, you can be my nutrition expert.
No, I've got too much sugar in my system. But I must say, guys, the proof is in the pudding. If you look back, even just say 8 weeks ago, and look where we were as you would say, a football team, the difference is unbelievable. And I still see a lot of that's down to our fitness in a way, because the one-touch stuff last night, we couldn't do that, because we were just going from side to side to side or bump up the middle. And you can see the difference. And it's only going to get better, as far as I'm concerned, because what we've got coming back and what we've got available now, it's going to be onwards and upwards.
I mean, even Scotty Harfield's not getting near the pitch now, Jaffa. I mean,
I know, Ox, that was in my mind. I did think that last night when I saw, Alec Lowry coming on, and I genuinely did feel a wee bit sorry for Scotty Harfield. I know all his fans as well. We all love him to bits, and I've not forgotten the 2 goals he scored only a few weeks ago in the last 4 minutes of the game up at Pittodrie to absolutely make their season the worst season ever, which is they're probably one of the best delights of the season as well, because I can't stand them. But anyway, I know he's not anywhere near the pitch, Ox, and it's probably going to, if anything, the 2 guys that have come in, Cantwell and Raskin, it's going to make it even more difficult for him in the weeks ahead. But that's football, as they say. That's the way it goes, and dressing rooms evolve like every other place I work, and ours is no different. And it needed to happen, Ox. Let's not be kidded.
Yeah, wonder.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at all the players coming back, it is going to be difficult to even get a place on the bench. I think we were talking about that earlier on, Ox. You've got, I don't know about Lawrence. You start to think that we're going to actually see him again. any day soon. Maybe not, but you've rightly said you've got Hadji, Roof, Suter, Yilmaz is coming back, Raskin. It might mean a couple of the younger boys will start dropping from the bench as well. But they've had quite a lot of time this year, so there'll be an element of they'll be pleased with that. But generally, it's looking a lot brighter for us. And as we said earlier, the more competition we've got, the better. It would be interesting if you were to play that boy Raskin, just for example, on Saturday, right? I know he probably won't, but if you were to start him, who would you actually drop out?
If we played like we did in, last night, I'd drop Alan McGregor.
That might be okay. Somebody can just put the goalie's top on and go in if we get a penalty against
I'd play
us.
back in, if I'm being honest.
See on that note, Ox, did you see he came out for a ball last night? Was diving about.
Aye. It's about time he acted his age. Anyway, we've been joined by Ian from YouTube. How are we doing, Ian?
No bad. How is everybody?
Good to hear you, mate. Good to hear
Ian.
Hiya. I've not been on for a while. Wasn't keeping too well. Plus, I was in a home for a wee while there. But I just wanted to give my plaudits for the team for last night. Every man, 10 out of 10 last night. I mean, I was expecting everybody probably the same, a hard match, and Rangers just blew them away for the kick-off. And all these offsides and great saves by Xander Clark and misses that we made. I mean, that could have been a real wrecking score line last night, around about 10 or 11 nothing. And I just want to praise them up so much because they're absolutely brilliant. I hope they can keep it up, but we know what football's like. You get a great game one week and then it's not as great, but I must say, under Beale, there's been a difference, a massive difference in the team, and we've struggled with injuries and everything like that, but we've coped, we're unbeaten. We've still got 2 cups to go for it, and I'm another one that's not getting this league up. It's mathematically impossible. So I just want to give a shout out to the whole Rangers team and the manager and the staff and everyone. So well done for last night. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So well done.
Well said, Ian. Linda?
Yeah, great to hear from you, Ian. Hope everything's all right with you. It's lovely to hear from you again.
Thanks, Ed.
It was just fantastic watching our team play some good football, Ian, wasn't it? As you rightly said, we've had the results since Beale came in, and he's been slowly just putting his mark down, hasn't he? Getting players back into the team, got a couple of new signings, but it was just really, really good to see some fantastic football played.
Aye, because, I mean, we've been... A lot of our games have been coming through like 1-0 and having to come back, and even the last 15-20 minutes, it's that all squeaky bum time, and we're still no confident. And it was just absolutely brilliant. I mean, I don't think anybody expected that last night, but it was great to actually watch them totally blow a team away who are supposed to be the third best in the league. So good luck to them. But it was amazing, and I hope they can get through the season like that. We're getting injuries back. That's brilliant. Brought in 2 cracking players, and I mean, this year I just think they're just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and they're going to start blowing teams out the water now because they proved last night they can get it. Hearts made a big mistake. I mean, they came out to attack us. Failed right away, and that was their mistake, but they were rank rotten because we made them look rank rotten. Know that they were rank rotten. We made them look it. As I say, if it wasn't for some open goals that we missed and Gnur the bar and Xander Clark's great saves, that would have been a redneck score last night, a total redneck. So, I mean, they deserve every plaudits that they get for the match last night. So, again, I'm just saying thanks to everybody, and especially thanks to everybody down in the chat. I know because I've made some great pals down there, and I don't come on Rangers Radio as much now just because of my health. But when the day come on, I'm welcome back, and I'm just thankful I've made plenty of friends down there through this radio station that I come on. I just love it, and I love the people below it as well, and it's made my life a lot better and worth living, if you get what I mean.
Listen, Ian, we're always glad to hear from you, and we always love your insight into the game and Rangers, because you're always top drawer with the way you see the game. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you know what Rangers Radio is about, we don't know, mate. It's an absolute pleasure to hear from you, and I thank you for your kind words and all the mates you met in the chat.
That's just beautiful. Thanks for saying that. That makes me really happy hearing that.
No, we mean it, Ian. We mean it. That's for Fox and Old School Boy in the background. If you know what Rangers Radio is all about, we don't know what it is, mate. Listen, unfortunately, we've reached that time in the evening. Ian, thanks very much, mate. Great to hear from you.
Thanks a lot to everyone of you there, right? Take care, everybody.
You look after yourself.
See you.
Good night, Ian.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Right, we've got some prizes for you, David. First prize is a ton of Wacko biscuits. Second prize is 2 ton. Right?
What we gonna have? Forgot, I didn't get the second one there.
The second prize was 2 ton.
Look at him through the letter books.
Right, Davey, last word, quickly.
Great show. That was nice words you gave to Ian. Very commendable. And God bless you, cheers. Good night, folks.
Cheers. Jaffa.
Thanks for having me on, Ox. What a brilliant show tonight. I love being on with Linda, and always love being on Rangers Radio. We are the people.
No said, mate. Linda?
Great show tonight, Ox. It was fantastic callers and lovely to hear from Ian again. Great being on with Jaffa, some good banter, really enjoyed it, and your good self. And onwards and upwards with Rangers, another good victory at the weekend. Let's hope for that, but enjoyed being on. Great show.
Thanks to all the callers tonight, but I think you'll agree with Ian. Big shout out to you, Ian. Thanks to Linda and Jaffa for doing the show. Fox and Old School Boy for doing the technicals. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night between 8 and 10 talking about all things Rangers. Take it away, Old School Boy.
Rangers, easy, okay. Look out, everyone, we're on our way. Football is the game that we play all over the world. Rangers, easy, okay. Look out, everyone, we're on our way. We can show the world how to play, for we are Rangers, okay. Won't you come and cheer us? Help the boys along. White and blue, coming through with a song. Oh, Rangers, easy, okay. Look out, everyone, we're on our way. Football is the game that we play all over the world. Rangers, easy, okay. Look out, everyone, we're on our way. We can show the world how to play, for we are Rangers, okay. We'll be there to do it, do it if we can. Win the cup, hold it up in our hands. Rangers, easy, okay. Look out, everyone, we're on our way. Football is the game that we play all over the world. easy, okay. Look out, everyone, we're on our way. We can show the world how to play.